Good morning students, welcome all of you to online English class. In the previous class, we have just started the environmental essay, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in the Forest by Vandana Shiva. Let us just recapitulate what we have discussed in the previous class. The essay begins with the childhood of Vandana Shiva. Vandana Shiva spent her childhood in the forests of Himalaya. After the tragic partition, Vandana Shiva's mother, she became a farmer, and Vandana Shiva's father, he was a forest conservator, protector. And during the childhood of Vandana Shiva, whatever the songs and poems composed by her mother, they were about forest, trees and forest civilization. Like this, during childhood itself, Vandana Shiva got inspiration and she got impression about environment, nature and forest. Then onwards she started to involve in nature and she developed a kind of thinking towards environmentalism and the protection of nature. Later, her involvement in ecology, the relationship between the living organisms in nature. She started her involvement in ecology with Chipko movement. So Chipko movement, it was started during 1970s in the Himalayan Garhwal region, where uneducated women, they came in the defense of the forest. Why they wanted to defend forest, protect forest? Because during 1970s, the forest officials and the woodcutters, they used to cut trees to get timber, wood, logs. And because of this logging, it had led to landslides, scarcity of water and fuel. And if everything is in scarcity, then the heavier burden for women, since women provide these basic needs at home. So that's why these women, they came in defense of forest and they told trees are not non-living things, they are living things, we need to protect trees. And Chipko movement means a non-violent response against deforestation. That means cutting of trees. So it is in a non-violent way because these uneducated women from Garhwal region, they hugged the trees and they declared that the loggers, the woodcutters have to kill them before they cutting the trees. That's why it is called as a non-violent response. That's why the word is Chipko. So Chipko means to stick or to hug. So here the women, uneducated women, they hugged the trees and they declared that the woodcutters, they have to cut and kill these women before they cut the trees. So that's why it is named as Chipko movement. And according to this rural uneducated women, the real value of the forest is it provides cool air, water and soil. And they even composed songs, these beautiful oaks and rhododendrons, they give us cool water. So beautiful oaks and rhododendrons, different wide variety of flowers, different color flowers, they provide cool water, air. So that's why we need to preserve and protect. And they declared that they are going to protect and hug the trees. But the forest officials and the woodcutters who have obtained contract to cut trees, they did not pay any attention. One of the dramatic actions of this Chipko movement that was happened in 1973 in the village called Advani. In that village, an uneducated woman named Bachni Devi, she led resistance against her own husband who had obtained a contract to cut trees. You might get one more question, who led resistance against her own husband? Bachni Devi. Bachni Devi led resistance against her own husband who obtained a contract to cut trees. And not only Bachni Devi, along with her there were so many women, they held up lighted lanterns though it was a broad daylight when the forester arrived. Now the forest officer asked and they replied, they told they have come there to teach them forestry. And now the forest officer shouted at them, yelled back that they cannot prevent a dead tree from falling down by those who know the profit, the value of the forest. According to the forest officer, forest official, the real value of the forest is profit, resin and timber. It gives profit in the form of rubber and in the form of wood, timber. But in opposition to this, according to the women of that Garhwal region, though they were uneducated, they know the real value of the forest. It is soil, pure air and water. It means forest provide us basic needs, and whatever the requirements of the human beings are there, these requirements, basic needs are fulfilled by these trees, forests. So that's why they even sang back in chorus. They told, what do the forest bear? Soil, water and pure air, soil, water and pure air, sustain the earth and all she bears. It means we need to sustain, we need to preserve, protect nature, and whatever we see in nature, they have interconnection and interdependency. So that's why we need to preserve and protect nature, we should not destroy it. So that's why the rural women of Advani village and Garhwal village, they came in defense of forest. And by getting all this inspiration, even Vandana Shiva wanted to join as a volunteer. In 1973, when Vandana Shiva visited her favorite forest and stream, she was shocked to see the forests were gone and the stream was reduced to a trickle. She wanted to go to Canada to do her PhD. Before that, she wanted to visit her favorite forest and stream, but when she visited, she was shocked by the scene, that is, the forests were gone and the stream was reduced to a trickle. And then she decided that she is going to become a volunteer, and she spent her vacation by doing Padayatras, documenting the work of deforestation, and by documenting, noting down the work of forest activists, and even spreading the message of Chipko. By this, Vandana Shiva got inspiration during her childhood itself, and she involved during her adulthood to protect, to preserve forest, to conserve forest, and she got inspiration from the Chipko movement. Her involvement in contemporary ecology, whatever she knows about ecology, her ideas, principles, everything was inspired by Chipko movement. So let us see how she speaks about monocultures and the need to go beyond monocultures. Beyond monocultures. From Chipko, I learned about biodiversity and biodiversity based living economies. The protection of both has become my life's mission. As I described in my book Monocultures of the Mind, the failure to understand biodiversity and its many functions is at the root of the impoverishment of nature and culture. The lessons I learned about diversity in the Himalayan forest, I transferred to the protection of biodiversity on our farms. I started saving seeds from farmers' fields and then realized we needed a farm for demonstration and training. Thus, Navadanya farm was started in 1994 in the Doon Valley located in the lower elevation of Himalayan region of Uttarakhand province. Today we conserve and grow 630 varieties of rice, 150 varieties of wheat and hundreds of other species. We practice and promote a biodiversity intensive form of farming that produces more food and nutrition per hectare. The conservation of biodiversity is therefore also the answer to the food and nutrition crisis. Navadanya, the movement for biodiversity conservation and organic farming that I started in 1987 is spreading. So far, we have worked with farmers to set up more than 100 community seed banks across India. We have saved more than 3,000 rice varieties. We also help farmers make a transition from fossil fuel and chemical based monocultures to biodiverse ecological systems nourished by the sun and the soil. Biodiversity has been my teacher of abundance and freedom, of cooperation and mutual giving. So now under this heading, that is beyond monocultures. So Vandana Shiva, she is actually speaking about Navadanya movement and Navadanya farm. Navadanya movement and Navadanya farm. So before we see what is this Navadanya movement and Navadanya form, let us know what is meant by monoculture. Monoculture means growing one crop at one time. In a given piece of land, growing only single crop, one crop at a particular period of time, that is called as monoculture. But Vandana Shiva, she is suggesting beyond monocultures, means we need to move away from monoculture. Why? Because repeatedly, if one crop is grown in the same land, same crop every time, then the soil is going to lose its fertility. If continuously same crop is grown in the land, then the fertility of that land, cultivated land, is going to be lesser and lesser from each crop to another. That's why Vandana Shiva is speaking about beyond monocultures. From Chipko I learned about biodiversity and biodiversity based living economies. From Chipko movement, Vandana Shiva learned about biodiversity, the different living organisms and the relationship between these organisms, such as trees, birds, animals, everything. And not only that, biodiversity based living economies. There are some economies which are completely depend upon this biodiversity. So which are such type of living economies? So your living economy, you can take it as a profession or job. So here that living economy is nothing but agriculture. So agriculture is such type of living economy which completely depends upon nature. She is speaking about agriculture here. The protection of both has become my life's mission. Now, what is the life mission of Vandana Shiva? Vandana Shiva's life mission is to protect biodiversity and biodiversity based living economies. So biodiversity based living economy means agriculture. She wanted to protect biodiversity as well as she wanted to protect this agriculture, and she wanted to get more nutrition and more crop per acre. As I described in my book Monocultures of the Mind. So underline this, Monocultures of the Mind is a book written by Vandana Shiva, and in this book she has clearly given the failure to understand biodiversity and its many functions. So why human beings are failing to understand, why they are unable to understand biodiversity and its many functions. So biodiversity has got its own importance, but human beings have failed to understand the importance and significance of this biodiversity. Why? Because it is at the root of the impoverishment of nature and culture. So why? Because human beings are not giving much importance for nature and culture. Impoverishment means becoming weaker and weaker, getting less importance, less significance, becoming vulnerable, becoming weak. So why this nature and culture becoming weak? This nature and culture, they are interrelated. How nature and culture are interrelated? Our culture is inspired by nature, and nature has its direct connection with our culture. For example, worshipping trees is Indian culture. Earlier, most of the people, they used to worship trees, and they used to have some trees, some medicinal plants even at their home, in their backyards or just front yard. They used to grow medicinal plants and even trees, neem tree, tulsi. All these kind of plants and trees they used to keep even at their home. Why? Because they know its value, they know its medicinal value, and along with that they have their significance even in the culture. According to Indian Hindu culture, worshipping trees is also a good thing, is also one of the part of our culture, worshipping trees, protecting trees. And that's why in all Hindu houses, Hindu religion, so they keep this neem tree, so this tulsi, all these trees at home. The reason is that these trees have more number of medicinal values and medicinal advantages. But in nowadays, in modern life, human beings are not giving much importance to their culture. If human beings are not giving importance to their culture, means it is indirectly affecting on nature. If human beings are not giving importance to culture, then it means that they are not giving importance to nature as well. Why? Because nature and culture are just correlated, interdependent. For that, the given example is worshipping trees and protecting the trees. Neem tree, apart from having medicinal values, medicinal benefits, and that neem tree produces healthy oxygen which is required by human beings to breathe, to live, and in the same way all the trees have one or the other medicinal values, one or the other advantages for human beings. So that's why all the trees were worshipped by human beings. It is a part of Hindu culture, but nowadays this culture is gradually disappearing, decreasing, because lifestyle has completely changed. The early lifestyle of human beings was eco-friendly lifestyle. Now the modern lifestyle, mechanical lifestyle, it is not eco-friendly, it is against to nature. It is in a way causing harm to nature. It is destroying nature. So completely the lifestyle changed, the culture changed. In the same way, the nature is getting imbalanced. The nature is getting destroyed by human beings because they are not following their true culture. So what is true culture? Yes, we know the culture that we are following, but we should know what is the hidden meaning and what is its medicinal value or what is its actual value. Before following the culture, know its value, know its practical use, then we need to follow it. But instead of knowing the value, instead of knowing the reason behind that mystery, that culture, we are not following it, simply denying it as superstition, just blind belief. There is a difference between blind belief and belief. We need to know the culture and its practical use. But human beings in modernity, in this today's lifestyle, they are just coming out of culture, and in a way they are moving towards destroying the nature. The lessons I learned about diversity in the Himalayan forest, I transferred to the protection of biodiversity on our farms. So whatever she learned about diversity in Himalayan forest, she used it to protect biodiversity in her farms. She started saving seeds from farmers' fields. So how she started this Navadanya movement and Navadanya farm? She is giving a brief of it. She started saving seeds from farmers' field, then realized we needed a farm for demonstration and training. She collected seeds from the farmers' fields. She went to the farmers and asked them to save seeds, to preserve those seeds. After saving the seeds, she realized that a farm is needed for demonstration and training. So that's why in the year 1994, she started Navadanya farm for training and demonstration. So Navadanya farm, it's a farm, agricultural land, fertile land, started by Vandana Shiva. The location of that farm, Navadanya farm, is in the lower elevation of Himalayan region of Uttarakhand province. In the Uttarakhand province, in the lower elevation of Himalayan region, where water is available in plenty, where the rainfall is heavy every year, that such a type of fertile land was selected for demonstration, and that land was named as Navadanya farm. Today we conserve and grow 630 varieties of rice and 150 varieties of wheat. So instead of growing only single crop, single variety of crop, they are able to produce, along with Vandana Shiva, there are number of farmers and number of Navadanya farm participants. They are able to produce 630 varieties of rice and 150 varieties of wheat. Not only rice and wheat, she developed different varieties of other species as well. So that's why she is labeled it as, given the title as beyond monocultures. So instead of growing one crop, particular one type of crop, 630 varieties of rice and 150 varieties of wheat and hundreds of other species as well. Not only that, and different crops and different species were grown at a single time in the single land. We practice and promote a biodiversity intensive form of farming. So whatever the farming they follow, whatever the type of agriculture they follow, that agriculture is eco-friendly agriculture. Biodiversity intensive form of farming means eco-friendly. Biodiversity intensive form of farming. It means doing agriculture, practicing farming without causing any harm to nature. So without using any chemicals, without using pesticides, without using any type of artificial fertilizers, pesticides, chemicals. It's called as organic farming. So she is practicing organic farming which is eco-friendly. Her mission and her intention is to produce more nutrition and more yield, more crop per hectare. In a given limited land to grow more nutrition and more crop. That produces more food and nutrition per hectare. The conservation of biodiversity is therefore also the answer to the food and nutrition crisis. So conservation of biodiversity is also the answer for food and nutrition crisis. Today we are facing food and nutrition crisis. So crisis, scarcity. Today everywhere food is in scarcity. And even if we get food also, in that food there is no much nutrition. There is no nutrients in the food what we are taking today, because we are using more chemicals, because we are using more pesticides, we are using more artificial fertilizers to get more yield. We are getting more yield, but at the same time we are losing the valuable nutrients. We are not getting nutrition to our body. So nutrition for our life. So that's why Vandana Shiva's intention is very clear and very healthy intention, that is practicing farming, organic farming. By this organic farming, without using any chemicals, fertilizers and pesticides, practicing farming to get more nutrition and more food per hectare. If by practicing this organic farming, we are not causing any harm to nature, to environment, then we are doing eco-friendly agriculture. Eco-friendly agriculture is the answer for food and nutrition crisis. So that's why we need to preserve biodiversity. So that's why conservation of biodiversity. If we do eco-friendly organic farming, then it is like we are finding an answer for nutrition and food crisis. In the same way, we are just protecting nature. Navadanya, the movement for biodiversity, conservation and organic farming that I started in 1987 is spreading. So Navadanya farm was established in 1994, started in 1994. But before that, in 1987, Navadanya movement was started. The name itself indicates Nava, means 9. Navadanya. Nine type of grains, 9 type of food grains, 9 type of crops she was able to produce in one land at a time. At a time, 9 variety of food crops, food grains she was able to produce at a time. So that's why it is labeled as beyond monoculture. In 1987, she started this Navadanya movement. The two intention of this Navadanya farm is conservation of biodiversity and organic farming. To promote organic farming, Navadanya farm was started. So what is this organic farming? As I already told you, without using any chemicals, fertilizers and pesticides, just by depending on nature, the natural soil, sun, doing this agriculture, that is called as organic farming. And this type of movement was started in 1987. So far, Vandana Shiva worked with farmers to set up more than 100 community seed banks. So 100 community seed banks across India. The primary function, the prime work of this seed bank is to collect seeds from the farmers. We have saved more than 3000 rice varieties. By collecting the seeds, she was able to preserve 3000 rice varieties across India. Vandana Shiva, with the help of farmers, she had set up 100 community seed banks, and by collecting the seeds, she was able to collect 3000 rice varieties. We also help farmers make a transition from fossil fuel and chemical based monocultures to biodiverse ecological systems nourished by the sun and the soil. So that is the major difference between chemical based agriculture and organic farming. So what is it? They help farmers to make transition. Transition means change. They help farmers to change from fossil fuel and chemical based monoculture by using chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, growing one crop at a time, that is monoculture, to biodiverse ecological systems. Biodiverse ecological system, organic farming, nourished by the sun and the soil, only depending upon the sun and the soil, and only by using organic compost, which is produced by rotten leaves, rotten vegetables, and animal manure wastage. By using all these natural and organic fertilizers, organic farming is performed, and by doing this organic farming, Vandana Shiva is able to protect and preserve nature. So that's why she is training hundreds of other farmers as well in her Navadanya farm. So Nava means 9. She was able to grow 9 varieties of crops in one land at a time. Biodiversity has been my teacher of abundance and freedom, of cooperation and mutual giving. So biodiversity is like a teacher of abundance. So who is the teacher for Vandana Shiva? Biodiversity is Vandana Shiva's teacher of abundance. So abundance which is available in more number. So huge abundance and freedom of cooperation and mutual giving. So in biodiversity, if you see, you can get everything in huge resources, and even freedom of cooperation and mutual giving. So biodiversity is teacher for Vandana Shiva, teacher of cooperation and mutual giving. By biodiversity, Vandana Shiva learned the principle of cooperation and mutual giving. So in nature, one animal, one species depend upon other species. One animal depends upon another animal for its survival and for its existence. In the same way, even human beings depends upon nature for their survival, for their existence. But still knowing this, human beings are destroying nature. Like this, Vandana Shiva has given an answer for food and nutrition crisis. If all the farmers in the country, they follow this organic farming, if they stop using chemical fertilizers, if they stop using pesticides, only by using organic manure, only by using organic compost, then we can make a change, and all the farmers, if they got training in this Navadanya farm, if they change their way of agriculture, their way of farming from chemical based farming to organic farming, then surely we can find the sure solution for food and nutrition crisis. And whatever we have discussed today, from this I am going to dictate you 1 mark questions. So all of you write down the 1 mark questions. First question: what did Vandana Shiva learn from Chipko movement? What did Vandana Shiva learn from Chipko movement? What did Vandana Shiva learn from Chipko movement? Next question. What is the life's mission of Vandana Shiva? What is the life's mission of Vandana Shiva? Next question. Mention the book which was written by Vandana Shiva. Mention the book which was written by Vandana Shiva. Next question. What is the failure to understand biodiversity and its many functions? What is the reason to understand biodiversity and its many functions? What is the reason? What is the reason to the failure to understand biodiversity and its many functions? Next question. How Vandana Shiva used the lessons? How Vandana Shiva used the lessons which she learned from? How Vandana Shiva used the lessons which she learned from the forests of Himalaya? The forests of Himalaya. Next question. From where Vandana Shiva started saving seeds? From where Vandana Shiva started saving seeds? From where Vandana Shiva started saving seeds? What did Vandana Shiva realize after saving the seeds? What did Vandana Shiva realize after saving the seeds? What did Vandana Shiva realize after saving the seeds? Next question. When was Navadanya farm started? When was Navadanya farm started? Next question. Where is Navadanya farm located? Where is Navadanya farm located? Next question. How many varieties of rice and how many varieties of wheat? How many varieties of rice and how many varieties of wheat were preserved and produced in Navadanya farm? How many varieties of rice and how many varieties of wheat were preserved and produced in Navadanya farm? Next question. What kind of farming is practiced in Navadanya farm? What kind of farming is practiced in Navadanya farm? What kind of farming is practiced in Navadanya farm? Next question. Which is the answer to the food and nutrition crisis? Which is the answer to food and nutrition crisis? Which is the answer to food and nutrition crisis? Next question. When did Vandana Shiva start Navadanya movement? When did Vandana Shiva start Navadanya movement? When did Vandana Shiva start Navadanya movement? Next questions. How many community seed banks were set up? How many community seed banks were set up? Next question. How many rice varieties were saved by Vandana Shiva? How many rice varieties were saved by Vandana Shiva? Next question. How farmers make a transition? How farmers make a transition in their way of farming? How farmers make a transition in their way of farming? Who is Vandana Shiva's teacher of abundance and freedom? Who is Vandana Shiva's teacher of abundance and freedom? Next question. From where Vandana Shiva learned the principle of cooperation and mutual giving? From where Vandana Shiva learned the principle of cooperation and mutual giving? Okay, these are all 1 mark questions. Now I will dictate the 4 mark question. Write down. Write a note on Navadanya movement and Navadanya form. Write a note on Navadanya movement and Navadanya form. Next question. Write a note on how Vandana Shiva practiced Write a note on how Vandana Shiva practiced the principle of beyond monocultures. Practiced the principle of beyond monocultures. Next question. Write a note on nature and culture. Write a note on nature and culture as emphasized by Vandana Shiva. Write a note on nature and culture as emphasized by Vandana Shiva. Okay, that's all 1 mark and 4 mark questions. So I hope all of you have understood today's session. I request all the students to read this essay once again, and in the next class we are going to continue with the essay. So whatever the questions I am dictating you, before answering these questions you need to read the essay thoroughly and you need to answer all the 1 markers and 4 markers without fail. So let us see in the next class and continue with the essay. Until then, all of you take care. Bye.